He was part of the National Welfare Rights Organization founded by George Wiley. It no longer exists, but it was influential, and it helped to spread welfare dependency throughout the country. And many scholars believe that the welfare rights movement played a significant factor in the 1975 bankruptcy of New York City. As you recall, one of the factors that caused New York City to go bankrupt was the fact that their welfare rolls were burgeoning. They were bursting at the seams, and the city couldn't afford to keep them up anymore.
Okay, so
and that's the idea, is to cause upheaval.
Okay, so help me out with the Rathke brothers, because are they ideologues like this, or are they corrupt? Are they people that are just going for the almighty dollar?
That's really hard to say. I think they started as ideologues, but then the brother, Dale, who embezzled $948,000 from ACORN, I think he was corrupted, and I suspect Wade, the founder, was corrupted too, although we don't actually have evidence of that. He became more focused on money than on actual social change.
He paid the money back. He paid $1 million back. He was supposed to pay it like $30,000 a year. Whatever.
Drummond Pike paid it back.
Yeah,
Drummond Pike is he's the founder of the Tides Foundation, which is a shadowy pass-through. It's like a donor-advised fund. So, for example, George Soros could write a check for $10 million to the Tides Foundation, get the tax deduction for it, and then secretly store the money there, and then tell them who to write the checks to. The Tides Center and the Tides Foundation do that, and then they hand out the money anonymously, so you never know where it's coming from.
So the check to pay the $1 million back that he embezzled, which got him off the hook, was written by the Tides Foundation, but do we know?
No, it was written by Drummond Pike personally. Drummond Pike was is a 60s peacenik.
Okay.
And he's involved in George Soros's Democracy Alliance. I know it gets complicated.
Does this, and I think intentionally so, does this end in Washington? Does this end in New York? Does this end around the world? Where any idea at all where the source of power? It's almost, correct me if I'm wrong, I have the feeling it's almost like a terror cell, where you can open up one terror cell, but that cell doesn't really even know what it is anymore. It's just operating. Where's the source of power?
Well, it was New Orleans, but since Wade and his brother Dale were forced out last summer by the National Board of ACORN for the embezzlement and the 8-year cover-up that Wade Rathke participated in, there seems to be a power vacuum, and the various important figures within ACORN are struggling to give it a sense of direction. The new CEO or chief organizer is Bertha Lewis, who is a successful executive director of New York ACORN, which runs high schools, social justice high schools, 2 of them in New York City.
Do you believe
ACORN has its fingers in so many pies you wouldn't even believe it.
Do you have any evidence that she is corrupt?
I don't.
Okay. All right. Thank you. We will talk to you again. Now, joining me from Washington is Minnesota Congresswoman Michelle Bachmann, who has kind of found herself in the middle of this because, if I'm not mistaken, Michelle, was it last week? You put something in a bill, it passed. Barney Frank then went back in and changed it on ACORN. Can you explain?
Yes, it was in Financial Services Committee. I offered an amendment that would defund any organization who is indicted or convicted of voter fraud to prevent them from having access to taxpayer money, taxpayer grants. Barney Frank accepted the motion. He approved it. There was a voice vote. It was unanimous. And then after that, Barney Frank sent a memo out to his colleagues saying he had made a mistake and he wanted to gut the amendment, and he invited his Democrat colleagues to vote against my amendment.